of depression. Angle of elevation means you're measuring upwards from something. Angle of depression means you're measuring downwards from something. It is key that you have to be coming from a horizontal line, right? So whenever you're talking about elevation or depression, it must be from a horizontal line. Yeah, just give me a second. So elevation is up from a horizontal, depression is down from a horizontal. If it's not horizontal, then it doesn't work. So a lot of your word problems will use those terms, and you kind of need to know what those terms mean. Awesome. Let's try a question. Hey, Mo. So this one says, from a window on the second floor that is 16 feet above the ground, the angle of elevation to the top of a tree is 16 degrees. Because it says angle of elevation, I know that means upwards. And if you look at the picture, there is your angle of elevation. It's going up. The angle of depression to the base of the tree, the base means bottom of the tree, is 40 degrees. That means my angle of depression would be downwards from that horizontal. And they did already put it in there for you, right? So like you don't need to stress too much. But it's a good example of elevation is up, depression is down.
So just do like the 16 and 40.
Pardon?
You just do the 16 and the 40?
No, because you have to have right angle triangles, right? So when we read this, question A then says, what is the horizontal distance from the house to the tree? So they're asking you, what is this distance from this orange dot to this orange dot?
Yeah, find that no difference. 16 and 40. Find the orange.
No, because you need to have right angle triangles, right? So this is still a double triangle question. This is a 90-degree triangle up here, and this is a 90-degree triangle down here. If you add them together, you're now not doing a 90-degree triangle.
No,
it's too big.
16 feet plus times the 40 degrees.
Oh, you were doing that. You're ahead of me. Yeah, I think it will be. With these double triangle questions, right, we always wanted to figure out where the two triangles were. So there's one here going down and across. And there's one here up top and across. Our goal was to find that horizontal distance, which was that orange line. For me, when I'm looking at this, on my red triangle, they didn't give me enough information, but they like secretly gave me one of these lines. I know that this height is 16 feet. So if this height is 16 feet, then this tree is also 16 feet from there to there. So they gave you like some secret information in there that this from here to here is 16. Yeah. So just a reminder, this is a good review of Sohcahtoa, right? You need to label your triangle. Across from the angle you have is opposite. This is my hypotenuse because it's across from the 90. And the other side would be adjacent. So label your triangle. This is opposite. This is hypotenuse. This is adjacent. Once you label your triangle, you do Sohcahtoa. So we go Sohcahtoa. You put a check mark under the side length you know, and you put a check mark under the side length you want to know. I know my opposite side is 16. I want to find my adjacent side. I am doing a TOA question. That means I'm doing my tangent formula. My tan formula was tan of an angle equals opposite over adjacent. So I labeled my triangle, I picked a formula, Now I plug my numbers into my formula. So this is now tan
I
of
got 19.
40 degrees equals 16 divided by x. Because x is on the bottom, my calculation will be 16 divided by tangent.
Okay, you're blowing my mind.
If you throw in your calculator, 16 divided by tangent, it will give you that adjacent side, and you got 19, which is correct. And it's 19.06, so we'll just say 19.1 equals x.
And that goes right where the horizontal this is, right?
Right, and I would actually go write it on there. I would say x equals 19.1. Right, I think that's wise. So I've now answered my first question. It's 19.1. Wonderful. Question B says, how tall is the tree? If I look at this,
Well, you got 16.
it's only 16 to here,
And he's got,
but there's still the remaining top of this tree.
he just got 19.
So you need to do 16 plus whatever this distance is.
And finally I do 19. And you gotta do like. So 16. 18.
So now I'm looking for that top of the tree, which I'm calling y.
So you go. You do at like the
Yep.
adjacent plus the opposite.
Yeah, on the right side. Yeah.
So what?
So for us, I got this is 16. Thank you. Yeah. You need to find the rest of this. That means on this blue triangle, I need to label my triangle. He's been here for a while. So it'd be opposite over here, hypotenuse over here, adjacent right here. Right? Always label first. Once you've labeled your triangle, you need to do Sohcahtoa. Okay, so I labeled it. Sohcahtoa tells you which one to use. You put a check mark under the side length you know, so I know my adjacent because I found it in the last question. And I want to know my opposite, so this is another TOA question, which means it's another tangent formula. This would be tangent of 16 equals opposite over adjacent. Do you need a copy of this? Okay. Do you need this? Yeah, I got it over here. He doesn't have it. Yeah, I got it. I got it. Sorry. Yeah, sorry. Right, so I chose TOA. Opposite is y. Adjacent, I just figured out, is 19.1. Because y is on the top, this will be a multiply question. So I'm going 19.1 times tan of 16. And that will tell me what y is.
5.5.
Thank you, sir. So if you put that in your calculator, you get 5.5 equals y.
So it'd be 21.5.
Yeah.
Big brain power.
So the top of this tree, this little section y, is 5.5. That means the entire tree is 16 plus 5.5. So to answer the question, how tall is the tree? 16 plus 5.5 equals 21.5.
I was depending Morgan teaching me. Oh, you ready?
Do you want to try them out?
No, I like just holding.
Yeah. Yes, sir. Yes, of course. Do you use that calculator? Okay, as long as you're cool with it. I try to at least always give the same one so you know where the buttons are, right? Like, make your life a little easier. All right, let's try another one. So this one is talking about two buildings. It says from the top of a 20-meter building, the angle of elevation, so that means going upwards, right? Angle of elevation is up.
It'd be 60 meters because
The-
that one's 2 floors and there's 6 floors.
Yeah, like if it was the same. Yeah. But I mean, you got to do trig. You can't just assume it. So it says the angle of elevation to the top of another building is 30 degrees. You can see they labeled it for you. This is elevation because it's upwards from a horizontal line. Upwards from a horizontal. And the angle of depression is 15. Angle of depression is going down. If you look right here, they gave you it going down from the horizontal. It says determine the height of the taller building. If you look at these buildings, I know currently that this distance is 30. Sorry, 20. I know it's 20 because it's the exact same distance as this building. Right? They're both the same. So now the only thing you need to find is the rest of the building. Again, it's a double triangle question. So if this one we're going to call X is a part of the red triangle.
First, you gotta find the bottom triangle.
Yeah.
So it's just Sohcahtoa, like Toa again.
Would be, yeah. You can't solve this red triangle until you get more information about it. Because there's not enough info there, right? You always need one side length and one angle. I could get this side length, the bottom of the red triangle, by doing Sohcahtoa on the blue triangle. So if I did Sohcahtoa down here, I could figure out that side, and then I could figure out X. All right. Sohcahtoa on the blue side. To do Sohcahtoa, you need to label your triangle. This would be opposite because it's across from the angle. This would be hypotenuse. And then this would be adjacent. Right? Across from the angle I'm working with is called opposite. Across from the 90 is called hypotenuse. And the other one is adjacent. Perfect. Put a check mark under the side length you know. I know my opposite is 20, so I'm putting a check mark under O. And you're putting a check mark under what you want to know. I want to know the adjacent side, so I also put a check mark under A. After I put a check mark under O and A, I get TOA. T stands for tangent. This formula will be given to you. But this told me to do the tangent formula. That's why Sohcahtoa is important. It helps you pick your formula.
I got 74.6.
Okay. I then fill in information. So the angle is 15. The opposite is 20. The adjacent I'm just calling Y because I don't know what it is. When the letter's on the bottom, we divide. So this would be a division question. So I'm going to go 20 divided by tangent of 15. When you calculate that, you got 74, Braden?
What?
Would you?
74.6.
Thank you.
I'm not gonna write that.
I trust you.
That's what I do.
2? No, wait, 2 you're wrong. That's not your answer, right? This 74.6 is only giving me this distance right here. So it's only giving me right here, 74.6. It's giving me that shared side. The reason that's important is because now you can solve for what you really wanted, which was the height of this building. So now looking at that red side, I could actually solve it.
My bad. Oh, you're talking. Yeah. I have headphones in my hand. That was mine.
So the red side you work with, right? I'm going to relabel the red triangle now. This would be my opposite. This would be my adjacent. This would be my hypotenuse. And I redo the question again.
Those Toa again.
Opposite, it's adjacent again, it's hypotenuse again. It will be a TOA question one more time, right? But I'm writing it all out. I'm going Sohcahtoa. I put a check mark under what I want to know and a check mark under what I do know. I want to know my opposite, which is the building. I know my adjacent because I just found it in the previous question. And now I know I'm doing a TOA question. My formula is tangent of an angle equals opposite over adjacent. I fill in what I know. So this becomes tangent of 30 equals opposite, which is x, divided by adjacent, which is 74.6.
And then you times that.
Yep. So because x is on the top, this is a multiplication question. So I'm going to go 74.6 times tan of 30.
Oh, looks like I was 3.1 off.
What did the answer end up being?
Because you said the size of the building, and I said 60, but it's
63.1.
Well, that's not the answer. It's 43.
Oh, for just that part of the building.
Yeah, but the actual building is 43.
Yeah, you were close. Yeah, that's not bad. What we just calculated, this 43.1, is only the top part of the building. It's not the entire building, right? So remember that your answer now would have to be the top part plus the bottom part.
We already know the bottom is 20. Would be 60.
Yep, he's right. So then it would be 43.1 plus 20 equals 63.1. Sorry that the screen's gone all fuzzy on me. The internet's crapping out. So these word problems aren't that much harder than those double triangles we did earlier. Right? They're still the hardest questions we do all unit. Like they're definitely a challenge. But as long as you can set it up, you can do Sohcahtoa. You guys have proven it like 100 times. You're good at Sohcahtoa. It's just deciding which sides you're looking for, right? Number 9 is a little bit harder just to visualize what you have here. So what you have is a couple of triangles in the air.
Oh, so there's slanted.
Yeah. So you have to visualize that you have a triangle here in blue. You go straight out and then straight down to the fire. And then you have that like dotted line that's connecting to the top. So this is like a 90 degree, but in the air. In the air. This is across the sky and straight down to the fire. On the other side, there's another triangle. I'm going to do it in red. If you go straight across in the sky, straight down to the fire, and then do that dotted line where you're looking. Those two triangles are in the air. It's like 3D.
Well, that makes sense.
Awesome. Yeah. Yes, sir. So if we read this, it says from the top of a 90-foot tower, a fire ranger observes one fire due west and another at an angle of depression of 5, and another due south at a tower at an angle of depression of 2. How far apart are the fires? What you're looking for is the distance from one fire to the next fire. And if you look, now there's a third right triangle. This one is on the ground. Yeah, Josh. Good luck. So I've got triangle in the air, triangle in the air, triangle on the ground. Cool. My job is to try to figure out the distance between the two fires, which would be x. This distance right here. That's the distance between the two fires. The only way I'm going to do that is if I get more information about this triangle on the ground. Information about the ground I could get. I could figure out the distance from the tower to the fire. If I look at my blue triangle in the air, that's the same distance as this right here. The distance from here to here is the same distance as here to here. And I could also do that on the red side. So on the red side, I could find the distance in the air. I'm going to call it Z. And that would be the same distance as on the ground. Right? Straight up to the fire, straight up to the fire. Once I have those two, I could do Pythagorean Theorem, which has been a long time since we've done that. And you do Pythagorean Theorem on the ground because when you have two sides, you can always find the third side. So we're going to do Sohcahtoa, Sohcahtoa again, and then we're going to have to do Pythagorean Theorem. We'll start with the blue side. You're going to label your triangle. This would be your opposite. This would be your adjacent. I'm going to write out Sohcahtoa. Yes, sir. Yeah. Yes. Just both come back quick. So if I'm looking at this, they told me the height of the tower was 90. That means I know this opposite side is 90. Right? So I can visually look at that and be like, this is 90 right here. That means I know my opposite side, and I want to know my adjacent side. For the third time, this is a TOA question. Fourth time now, fifth time now. Just keeps happening. So it would be tan of an angle equals opposite over adjacent. That angle was 5 degrees. They pointed at it. So I have tan of 5 degrees equals 90 divided by y. Because y is on the bottom, this will be division. So 90 divided by tan of 5 equals y. That means that the distance to the fire for that side would be 1028.7. So I now know my one side is 1028.7. That says 1028.7. You get it? Eating glasses. Perfect. Perfectly clear. I don't know what you guys talking about. The red side, I'll write out the answer. You can't see it, but I'll talk you through it. And then we'll do the Pythagorean Theorem, and then I'll let you work on the other practice. So if you look at the red side, again, this is going to be 90 feet in the air. This is the same height as the tower. I want to figure out the tower to the fire. So I'm going to go opposite, adjacent, hypotenuse. I know the opposite. I want to know the adjacent. So when I do my Sohcahtoa, check under O and A. This is a TOA question. TOA means do your tangent formula. That would be the tan of 2 degrees equals 90 divided by Z, which is your adjacent side. Again, it's going to be division. So 90 divided by tan of 2 degrees equals Z. You put that in your calculator, 90 divided by tan of 2 degrees, and you get that it's 2,577.3. So the distance from the tower to the second fire is 2,577.3. I wrote this number there. Not that you can tell what I wrote there. But that says 2,577.3. Yeah. If you see a couple of those other boys, tell them to get back here. Awesome. The last step. If I know this side on the ground and I know this side on the ground, the way I'm going to find the third way is by doing Pythagorean Theorem. So a squared plus b squared equals c squared. It's been a while since we've done that. So you're going to go a squared plus b squared equals c squared. Remember that a and b are the legs and c is the hypotenuse. So this would be 1,028.7 squared plus 2,577.3 squared equals c squared. When you calculate that, the number is going to be massive. It's 1,028.7 squared. You get 7,700,507.207 equals c squared. Now that seems like a ridiculous answer, right? Like why would two fires be 7 million meters apart or 7 million feet apart? That's ridiculous. It's a little excessive. It's excessive because the last step in Pythagorean theorem is always to square root your answer, right? You don't want to know squared, you want to know just c. So the last step is always to square root. When you square root your answer, the square root of that number is 2,077.4.98. So those two fires are 2,774.98, which would be 2,775 feet apart. Yeah. Yes, sir. That's like by far the hardest question we would do. Like easily the hardest question. All right, because our screen's kind of crapped out, we'll just work on those practice ones. You should be done this practice booklet. Okay, the answer on the back for you. But try your absolute best. If you can do this practice booklet 100%, like you are set for the quiz tomorrow. So it's a good like little study guide. The only thing we haven't done in these booklets is find angles. So that's the only other thing you might want to go back and just remember how to do. That's when you did second tangent, second cosine, that kind of stuff.
Do a test today.
No.
Do it tomorrow.
I'm ready.
All
I
right.
don't care what you bring.